ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Well, welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon, and you're listening to us on Broadway World or over here on the Broadway Podcast Network. The roundabout last season, I had the best time at English. We had an interview with some of the cast of English, but our next guest is making their debut with us here. We have not seen them, and guess what? She's a Tony nominee, people. She's literally penciled us in between Tony luncheons and Tony press days and dress fittings and all the in my head. It's just champagne and parties, ball gowns. What an amazing career. Tons of off-Broadway and theater work in New York City. And now a Tony, then you'll be a Tony nominee for the rest of your life. That's it, forever and ever. Marjan Neshat. I'm going to say it wrong. Did I say it wrong? I got so nervous.
I know.
Marjan, okay, I think I was better than I thought. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It must be, you were with English off-Broadway.
Yeah.
And then you transferred to Broadway.
Yes.
And then you guys have this character in the story has been with you for quite a period of time. How does it feel?
I mean, it truly feels like the sky opened up and was like, enter. It was all of our Broadway debuts, and the whole cast came from off-Broadway. They are truly the most lovely, extraordinary. It just has felt so blessed. And, I love Sanaz Toossi and I love Canute. And it has felt so special to just be embraced and met by the world in that way.
I think this show is more important than it's as relevant and timely as ever. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've made history as an Iranian nominated Tony actress and in this way. And this show, I know you've spoken in other interviews I read about you, about your family, about your grandmother coming here and her journey. And it must be, what's the word? Reflecting on the journey of your family in this time and this story. How personal is this for you?
I mean, to be honest, I think, I have said before, my grandmother didn't come, but my mom's journey but my mom's journey here, and just looking back in my own history and knowing that, my grandmother was married off at 13, and she the breadth of it. But I think that more than anything, being an artist and being involved in the arts, it feels like, she's putting Iranians on stage the way she sees them, the way I see them and experience them. So often there's a misconception, I think, about what people in the Middle East are like. And oftentimes I feel like we get used to teach a lesson. And I feel like to be on stage and to be representing the sort of the mix of who I've come from, but also who I am, I grew up here. I am more proficient and facile in English, so that there is she's put a world in which I think anyone who struggled with identity and with language and who they are in what language and who they are when they dream in one but speak in another, the combination of all of those things is represented. So there is something specific in that we are Iranian American bodies representing that. But there's also something that I think is really meaningful to me in that it is universal. And so that, people, I had an interview and Alan Seals was like, when I was really young, my family moved from the South and I couldn't understand this accent. And I was just there's so many different ways. There's so many cuts that we receive through our lives, and they can be small and they can be huge. And I think that it puts the lens on truly our humanity and what it is to try and belong or try and figure out who you are. So
and that's, yes.
Gold.
It is. And the story is universal. It made me think when I was there, you played a teacher teaching English, and English ran. It was beautiful. We love Roundabout. Roundabout does some of the best work in all of New York City, in the world, truly. and it made me think of my grandfather who came here and didn't speak English, and he tried to learn English, and then I had to try to teach him English. I wanted him to teach me Italian and the culture's mission. But he was a proud American, no matter if he was an immigrant or not. And I think that the story is about people learning and trying to find community and find each other. And we all see humanity, and no matter where you're from, this show had something for all humanity. For you, you've had quite the journey. Speaking of journeys, your New York theater career and all of the work that you've done. What was it like to receive the call that the show was going to transfer, and that after all the off Broadway shows and Lortel nominations and performing downtown and everything you've done, now is going to lead you to Broadway?
I mean, when Sanaz won the Pulitzer, like we were all kind of like, they tell us when you win a Pulitzer, you move to Broadway, but like there's no guarantee. And also I have to say, like, this play is so intimate and it's so nuanced. It's not kind of like a big jazz handy showy show. So we were like, will it change, or will there even be a place for us? And I have to say, it has been the most extraordinary and beautiful surprise that I feel. Not only did it not lose its intimacy, like I actually think the warmth and the pulse of it grew. And I think because we had time, we had 3 years of living with these characters, and we had the benefit of all of that rehearsal just being between us in the air and trust. But it actually kind of shockingly, I think, worked more on a Broadway stage. Like the energy that was received from 740 people all kind of relating to it in a different way made it. I mean, even though all the times I was heartbroken about Broadway shows I didn't get, I'm so thankful that this was my Broadway debut, because it, I think, truly is one of the best parts I've ever played and one of the best casts I've ever been in. And so I feel it was worth crying about all those other ones to have it be this.
Have you been missing the show, especially now that you're doing interviews and talking about it and going to all these events?
So much. I mean, this is wonderful, and to be acknowledged and received is amazing, but I would give anything just to do the show every night. I really feel like even when we closed, like it was still opening. I was still finding things every night, and it was a very, very special story to share and put into the world, especially at this time. And so this happened off Broadway and also on Broadway. Like I walked in to our closing show, and I would like look at Hattie, like we were both trying to do warm-ups, weep, like sobbing. I'd be like, Toima. I just like couldn't get through it. And I saw Sanaz, she was just like standing there in like the guest dressing room. I looked at her, like just everyone who made eye contact that day, puddle of tears.
I know that you wouldn't be nominated today, and the show wouldn't have gotten the acclaim that it got without the incredible creative and cast that is a part of you. You guys were so tight-knit and so fast and quick with each other. Yeah. What was it like to sit in a room with them and build the show and then be able to do it? How much of this was really an ensemble piece that you all built together?
It is 100% an ensemble piece. And I have to say, I really think that each person brought so much of their heart and their integrity and their artistry, and we made each other better. Like I know that without question. Like, there have been talks about doing the show, and it's really hard for me to imagine not having this group of people, because I think at every moment, like I would look in someone's eyes and I didn't have to act. I was like, oh, I can just be with you because you're bringing your, like we were just meeting in our knowledge of the play. And it was an extraordinary gift.
Well, we can follow you on Instagram to stay up to date with everything that's going on while we're talking. And we'll be seeing you in June, everybody. We'll see do you know what you're wearing?
Oh my God, I'm trying to figure it out. I have to say, from like receiving the nomination was just such a happy and incredible surprise. And the fact that English received 5 was just like, oh my God. And we were all like, let's hold on to this joy, because I know tomorrow everyone's going to be like, what are you going to wear? And I'm going to be like, I don't know, please.
So I know you spoke about this with other people and written about it. I know Playbill asks everybody, but were you aware the nominations were coming out? Are you superstitious? Did you watch? Did you listen? Did you shut the phone? Like, what was your morning like?
So, I mean, obviously I knew, like, I feel like in the months preceding the nominations, like every Broadway show I'd go to, people are like, we're rooting for you. We loved English. So it was like, it was like a voice that I was trying to be like, it's not going to happen. Just think like it's not going to happen. And if it does, it's just, because it's how do you even pick? Like there's such extraordinary talent. But of course, like my little girl wished it, like no one doesn't want to have that, next to their name for the rest of their lives, and but it was my son's birthday and my husband was like working on a film in Scotland, so I was like, I dropped him off to school and I had a really big audition that day and I had a lot of lines to learn and I was like, I'm just gonna walk in the park, I'm just gonna learn my lines like a good actor, and I'm just, like if there's something to know, someone will tell me. And I like was doing it, but as it got closer and closer, I was just like, I'm just gonna sit down on this bench. And then like I would look a little bit, and I think the featured category was like announced so much later. So when English was nominated, like my phone blew up and it's like English, English, English. And so I was just so happy and thrilled and like texting my castmates. And then I like sat there for a while. And then I think because I think featured was one of the last ones, like my phone started to blow up. And then I had a FaceTime call from Sanaz. And so I was like, oh, I know it's probably, and I like clicked, I opened it and I looked at her and she looked at me and we just like both started weeping. And I was like, oh, it's, it's happened.
I can't. Oh my gosh.
And then we called Tala and it was like a 3-time. It was just like, it was
what a moment you'll remember forever and
I
ever.
will.
I'm so excited to be tuning in and see all of you. It's such an incredible category of actors and such an incredible season of work that has been done on Broadway the past year. That everybody check out a show, go see a show, and sometimes these shows that start off Broadway or roundabout off Broadway and move around, you got to check them out because it's some of the most incredible work that is being done. And as writing, the writing and the words as an actor, it had to be such an honor to say these words every night.
I had the great fortune of, when we did it off Broadway, English and her next play overlapped for 2 weeks. So I had a month in March where I didn't have a single day off. We were performing English 8 shows a week, and I was rehearsing Wish You Were Here, playing Nazanin, who never left the stage. So I was just like inside her brain for a solid like 5 months. And truly, it was one of the happiest 5 months of my life. I think her writing is really, really extraordinary. And it's like mysterious and detailed and it's bottomless in a way that like if you trust it and if you give over to it, there is always something to discover. It's not like rigid. It's just open. And I don't know. She's an incredible writer.
Well, some of the words, while I was reading about you and your career, while we're talking about the Tonys and we're talking about Broadway, you have worked in the most iconic and most famous theater companies in New York City. If we're talking about Shakespeare in the Park or the Vineyard, or we're talking about New York Theater Workshop or Playwrights, what can you say? While Broadway is commercial and important and necessary, some of these works that lead to Broadway or that may not, but are really truly epic pieces of writing are done throughout New York. How important is the off-Broadway community and journey to you being a Tony nominated actress today?
I mean, it just without question would not have happened without that. And I think it is more than ever like so necessary that we support these theaters because of all the cuts and all the funding. Like this is the only place that we can go that actually is not curated by social media and this. It is the only place we can go and like silence the noise and sit and commune with each other in the dark. And I think that may be the only like bastion left of human connection. I think it's so vital. And I think that, in the past, I'd say like, because it's all expensive and everyone will say, even the off-Broadway companies, it's like to build a set now, it's like almost impossible. And you cast and everything, but it is the place that historically has been more willing to take a risk. And, like English was a huge risk that has gone and actually been so well received on Broadway. And I think that I hope the sort of the understanding of that is like, it's really worth it. It's worth it to take a risk and not do the same kind of plays over and over. Like, we need them all. We need the entertainment. We need the nights where we just like are, you know, blissfully just like watching an incredible song and dance. But we also need things that touch us and silence us and make us think about someone else or ourselves in a deeper way. I think we need it.
We need it. We need it more than ever. And it's so true. Go support theater anywhere, wherever you are around the country. It could be a regional production, local, community, Broadway, off Broadway, wherever you are, go buy a ticket and see some artists saying some words and speaking about it. You know, you must really be good at memorizing lines, because I remember hearing about Sandra. No, a one-woman show, you on stage for and all of these lines. You know, I'm not trying to. I'm a musical theater nerd. Sometimes we get to sing a little something, something. You're up there just reciting playwrights, word perfect words. So you do your self-tapes and your auditions for roles you memorize and maybe not even get to do the role.
True.
Is it a chore?
I mean, it's only a chore if the writing isn't good. And I feel very lucky in that, like, in terms of all the plays, I feel like I've worked on some beautiful and brilliant plays. So it's never a chore with that. You know, like sometimes there's like auditions where you know that you're learning things that just are like, oh, I get exposition, or I gotta tell you, and then it's like that. But Sandra was, I think, to date, the hardest thing I've ever done. It was just, I think I had one chair, a glass of water that I only got to drink 3/4 of the way into the play, and that was it. And it was just me and all these characters and like 90. I mean, I'm pretty good at learning lines, but like, I think our final dress, I was so scared that because I was like, because I'm in conversation with myself. So like, I can't get a cue from anyone but like inside here. And I was like, I felt like I was like, my mouth was melting. And I was like, I really envied my like little boy who, when they get anxious, they just shut down. Like, I'm not doing it. And I was like, I just don't want to go out there. I have never had that experience. And, you know, the combination of our director and writer was David Cale and Lee Silverman, both extraordinary artists. And Billy Crudup had done it, like Harry Clark, which was like the same combo. And Lee said he also really, and so I texted him. He was so kind to me and really like texted me off a ledge a few times. And I was like, is it too late to run away? And he wrote back, he's like, no, absolutely not. But where would you go? And I was like, oh, that's true. It's true. Okay.
That's the lesson. You're just meant to do it. And you did it. And now it's done. And then the next show comes and the next show comes and then the Tony nominations come. And who knows what's next? You know, more work and so much more work. You have done a bunch of television and film as well. How does that compare to stage work? I'm sure it's both great, but it's very different world.
It is different worlds. I mean, I've been very, very lucky in that I've made 3 films with my now husband, Somni, where we rehearsed character for a long time, but a lot of the dialogue was improvised. So there is like film that I have worked on that feels as examined. You know, I think the challenge of TV and film sometimes is just like the lack of rehearsal. And so you're like rehearsing on your own and you show up. But I think if you get to be in the fortunate position of, you know, being handed like a lead or recurring where it starts to become collaborative, I think is like always when I'm like, oh, when I know I can like be in the conversation, I have a lot to bring to it. But otherwise you feel like, okay, I got to really work really hard. I mean, you do for theater too, like you do your homework and you bring something in, but you bring something into rehearsal and you try it out. But I think just like the medium, because it is faster paced and because of all that, sometimes you don't get that opportunity. Yeah. So it's like you have to doubly do the work on your own to show up and like be ready to go.
It would make me have that anxiety of like, oh man, I'm not going to be the one that's going to stop this whole set. I got to have my stuff together. That peer pressure works for me. Well, listen, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the evening I got to see over there in English. Thank you for all the work that
Thank
you
you
do.
for saying that.
I'm sure you probably have self-tapes and dress fittings and fancy gin cocktail parties. She's busy and she spent some time with us. We're counting down the days until the Tonys. It's us theater fans' favorite night, and then you get to be there red carpet front and center, and we'll be rooting and cheering for you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We're
Thank
so
you.
excited for
I am
all
too.
that's to come.
Aw, thanks for having me.
We're going to follow you on Instagram so we could stay up to date, and everybody, and then the links will be below us. And then we'll tune into CBS this June. Have a
Okay.
great
Hopefully I have a
enjoy.
really beautiful dress.
You will. I know already. And look at this hair. I'm so jealous.
Oh.
I'm like, come on, this hair is giving life here. We're ready for the
It needs
fashion.
a lot, but
Perfect. Perfect. Congratulations. Thanks so much.
thank you so much.